In your assignment, you're going to have to do a problem that is similar to this for two different um, slab types. So the first one, let's look at this one. It says, choose the most efficient composite floor slab to span 8 feet 6 inches and carry an applied load of 220 psf. So you're going to have to look at a table, and it looks very similar to this. And let me just show you what your assignment looks like. Here's your table, 1.5 cubic foot composite floor deck. That's the one that you use. And this is your chart that you're going to use. But instead of 8 foot 6 inches here and 200 and what was it? 20 psf, your numbers are going to be slightly different. So in this example, if you have to carry or span 8.6 and apply 220, then we look at what your clear span is, 8.6, and we go down to the number that's just bigger than 220 because this will hold 228. So that's the next one that works. So if we look at this one, then we can see that the slab depth is 3.5 inches. So you choose the smallest slab depth that carries the load. You can see that we could have chosen this one here, 237 is less than 220, but that's a 4-inch slab. So we don't want that one. So it's really just as simple as lining these up. But it can be kind of challenging when you're trying to figure out where it is on here. So the other thing you need to note on this is that it's a deck type of 16. You're going to have to determine your deck type. Now we'll take a look at the allowed unshoreable clear span in the next slide here. So it says be sure to check allowable unshored clear span. Since we have an 8 foot 6 inch wide span on our deck, if we have anything that is larger than 9 feet, we have to put supports underneath that to support it while it cures in place. We don't. Ours did not say it was 2 span or 3 span, so we assume it's a 1 span. In your assignment, I believe it says it's either 2 or 3 span, so you'll have to note that. But since this is 1 span, we do not need shoring since shoring is required at 9 feet or greater. We only have 8.5 feet. So again, if your number here is less than these, then you're all safe. So no matter if we have 1, 2, or 3 spans, then we would be in good shape here. We don't have to have shoring or supports underneath it. All right, so you want to avoid shoring. So add this to your Google Doc notes. It does add to the cost of the construction. The number of spans is the number of unsupported lengths between the supports. So one span has these little, they're kind of bluish. Those are the beams that are underneath there. 2 spans has these beams, 3 has this. So our library is actually a 3 span. You want to use more spans to reduce slab thickness. So if you have these supports here, then it doesn't have to be as thick because it only has to go from one support to the next. The allowable unshored clear span for some cases is greater than the span and therefore does not affect the design. That's what I was saying earlier. Since we're only spanning 8.6, we don't need any shoring because the minimum is 9 feet. Now, once you look at the chart that's just above that, it says that if you have a 3.5 thickness, then you need to have a welded wire fabric. Remember that we had that. And 6 inch by 6 inch, that's just the grid that it's in. So it's like a big piece of mesh, and it's like 6 inch squares. But it has a weight of 1.4 by 1.4. So this is what you would, if you were looking it up and ordering this in a catalog, you're ordering welded wire fabric, it would say W1.4 by W1.4. So these numbers I know are really kind of difficult to read in that chart on your assignment, but you can always go back to this and take a look at it. All of these are 1.4 by 1.4 until you get into the 5.5 inch slab thickness. So that's what we would choose. We'd specify the 6 by 6 slash W1.4 by W1.4. All right, now if you choose the Hollowcore, then you're going to look at it a little different. You see the span lengths here from 15 to 35 feet. And back on this one, it was 6 feet to 12 feet. So if you have an incredibly wide span, that's the situation where you might use these Hollowcore. And let me have you take a look at this library file that we have here. You can see these are 10-foot spans. From here to here is 10 feet. So we have a 1, 2, a 3 span. It's also a 30-foot span, or if you go in the other direction, it's a 24-foot span. So if we take a look at the Hollowcore, you have a 24-foot span here, and the smaller span is your better option. So I know it says 24 and it says 30. Both of those could work depending on if you spanned this direction or you spanned widthwise, but we want to go with the smaller one. So when you're doing this part of the assignment, the Hollowcore, make sure you choose that, and then see if you can find, given the PSF requirements, what that needs to be. Now this also gives you some dimensions here. 8-inch by 48-inch section gives you dimensions here, some widths and some strands, numbers and sizes. So see if you can find the information you need from this table. Take a minute and actually look through it. Try to problem solve, see if you can figure out where the information is that you need. And I think at this point you are ready to start the assignment.